Chapter 22. Incomplete records is the focus here. If something is incomplete, what does that mean? Correct. Okay, missing information. So when looking at incomplete records from an accounting point of view, you're going to need to calculate missing amounts or figures based on the information that's given in the question. So you will probably see incomplete records as part of a bigger question. It'll be quite unusual to see it asked separately as its own question. Why? Because generally in a bigger question you'd have to find certain values that you might need for a later calculation. Okay, so incomplete records is looking at that. You can just put a note underneath that. Using equations to find missing amounts. So the most basic equation that you know is yes, okay, the A equals O plus L. Right, the textbook gives you quite a bit of background information. They talk about small cash-based businesses. They talk about businesses managing their cash flow. And then on the next page, they talk about the calculation of profit and loss for a cash-based business.
So using equations
to find missing amounts. And that's possible because in different questions from a test point of view, they might not give you all the information. There could be things that you would have to find first and then use later. Okay, and that's where this chapter fits in. It fits in terms of being able to calculate figures based on the information that's given in the question. Right, so the most basic equation that we know is A equals O plus L.
Yeah.
That can help us find a missing value. Right, so let's write that down. Number one, you can say accounting equation.
I'm going to do lots of accounting equations.
Well, yeah, there's a few different scenarios. So this one is looking at profit and loss. Right, the next one's looking at the financial statements, which is the A equals O plus L. Right, then you've got a few T accounts. We'll look at some examples, and then there's a bit of theory later on as well, calculating missing cash. Okay, so with incomplete records, it'll all depend on the information that's given in the question. All right, but these are tools that we can always use. Okay, so tool number one, accounting equation. A equals O plus L. That's a tool that we can use to help us find missing values, okay, different amounts. So if we have enough information about our assets and liabilities, we can calculate the owner's equity. Or if we have owner's equity and we have liabilities, then we can find the missing amount, which is the assets. It all depends. It depends on what they give you in the question. Right, so the first, that's the first method. Second method, number two, opening balance okay, plus or minus movements equals closing. Right, so they give you information about the start and the end. We can find the change. Okay, so plus or minus the movement equals the closing. Okay, so we know what we started with. So for example, nice example, we've covered inventory. Remember inventory, we had opening stock, closing stock, and purchases. Okay, could you find one of the basic figures? You could if you had enough information. Okay, so the point I'm trying to make with all these different scenarios is if you have an equation and you've got enough information, you can find anything. Right, so number three, you can say, let's use this one. Opening capital plus profit for the year minus drawings equals closing capital. And that's part of the owner's equity. So they've given you a formula here in the textbook talking about calculating profit. If you've got capital, opening and closing, and you've got drawings, can you find profit? Yes, you would substitute the knowns and you would solve for the unknown. Then you would take the profit for the year to the left, and then you would find what it actually is. Okay. Right, so let's do an example. Actually, let's put them all, and then we'll do examples afterwards. Okay, so how many? You've got 3. Number 4, cash. Calculating missing cash amounts. That's on page 187. Right, so how do you find missing cash amounts? You would have to look at the bank account. Okay, bank or cash T accounts.
Calculate missing cash amounts.
Yes. Okay, how would you do that? You need to draw up. So you can just say draw up bank or cash T account. That's how you would solve for the missing cash. And we'll do an example just now. Bank or cash T account. Right, and then I see there's another one here. They've separated, they've kept it separate. The last one in the textbook is missing inventory. So number, what's it, 5? Calculating missing inventory. Right, so in this scenario, if you've got missing inventory, the only way you can find what's missing is by looking at perpetual or periodic. And if it's periodic, you're going to be using the formula for cost of sales. Okay, so 2 subheadings or 2 separate bullets. Number 1, perpetual. With perpetual, you'll have CP, cost price, plus markup equals selling.
So perpetual.
Yeah, perpetual, you'll have CP plus MU.
CP.
So CP plus MU equals SP. Okay, cost price plus markup equals selling. Right, so that's something that I can use to help me if I have missing inventory looking at perpetual. Okay, then second one, periodic. Do you remember the formula for cost of sales?
Yeah.
Kind of. Okay. Carrying values for? Carrying values for? Depreciation. Okay, so inventory is looking at cost of sales. So cost of sales equals cost of sales equals opening stock plus purchases minus purchases returns plus other costs minus closing stock. Okay, there's a formula. So you can use that if you need to find, minus closing stock. So you'd be able to find a missing figure if you've got enough information in the question. Okay, maybe one other one that you mentioned. It's not mentioned here in the textbook, but it could be part of the calculation. So this is additional.
Yeah.
Right, it's not covered here, but because you mentioned it, I want to recap it. So you could put an asterisk or an NB. Or if you want to label it number 6, you can. It's fine.
Should it on the next?
No, there's enough space there. It's just a short note. Okay, number 6, just say depreciation. And then let's write down the formula. Depreciation calculations. Or depreciation is fine. Carrying value equals cost minus accumulated depreciation. Something we've seen before. So I'm just trying to recap any equation that we've seen previously that will help us find missing amounts. Okay, right, let's practice. The textbook gives you a few examples. So let's start off with number 1, which is calculate the profit loss. So these are examples. You can say EG1, EG2, and so on. Okay, so example number 1, calculating profits. Okay, I'm going to simplify the example so it's not so long, just so you get the concept, because you'll see it's actually quite easy to calculate because there's a formula that you'll have to follow. Okay, so the first one is calculating profit. You can say total assets equal total assets equal 5,000. In brackets, 1 January, 1st Jan. So 1st Jan means opening stock or opening balance. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, next heading, total liabilities, 2,000. 1st Jan.
Total liabilities?
Equals 2,000, brackets 1st Jan. So again, that's the starting balance. Okay, then you've got two other points. Liabilities, 31st December. Total liabilities, or let's start with total assets then, just to keep it consistent. Total assets equal 7,000, brackets 31st December. Okay, next heading, total liabilities equal 1,000, brackets 31st December. Okay, then the question says, during the year, the owner withdrew, so you can say, these are separate bullets, yeah, well, owner withdrew or drawings, you can just write down drawings if you want to, but generally you'd have to identify from the question. Right, but if the owner takes, that is drawings. Okay, so instead of writing this whole long thing, during the year the owner takes, we're just writing drawings. Okay, so drawings equals 500. Right, so if that's the information we've been given, is it possible to calculate the profits?
Yeah.
How?
By using
What information do you have there? Assets and? Good. Exactly. Okay, so that's what they've done here at the bottom. They've used opening, closing. ESCOM. Yeah. Okay, load shedding. Okay, that's back. Alright, so next line you can say the answer or the workings or the solution. Okay, so what are you going to do? You need to work out opening and closing balances. Yes, okay, so counting equation is what would help us here. So all scenarios are different. You might or might not need the accounting equation. Here I do. Right, so have I got enough information about the beginning and the end?
Yeah.
Yes, so will I know what happened during?
Yeah.
Yes, I can. I can calculate it. Right, so what was the beginning equity balance, owner's equity at the start of the year?
Start of the year was, what are you saying, assets, sorry.
Well, we've got the assets and the liabilities. Can I get the equity?
Yeah.
Yes, I can.
Okay, so
1st Jan, assets equal 5,000. 1st Jan, liabilities equal 2,000. What's the difference between your assets and your liabilities?
2,000.
Which is what? Exactly. Okay, so you can just say solve. Equity equals 5 minus 2.
Equity equals assets minus liabilities.
Okay, so you're just using a formula to help you find missing values. Okay, got that?
Yeah.
Alright, so do you know how much they've started with? Yes. Okay, they started with how much? 3,000 in terms of equity. Right, so if the equity had to go up, what would that equity be, or why would the equity be going up? They must have made a profit. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, because who gets the benefit of the profits? The owners, exactly. So if you see the equity rise from one year to the next, that probably tells you that they've made a profit. Okay. So you've got the 1st of January equity. What else do you need? The 31st of December equity. Does that make sense? Right, so exact same calculation, but for a different time. End of the year rather than the beginning. So at the end, we had 7,000 assets. We had 1,000 liabilities. So equity is the difference. Okay, so chapter 22 is just asking you to find missing figures. When you've been given information that relates to the business, you might not have all the information. Okay, they could give you missing figures that you would then have to solve for. Okay, and that's what we're practicing here. Okay, so owner's equity is 6,000. Right, so you started with how much? 3,000 equity. You ended with 6,000. Well, what else happened during the year?
Drawings.
Good. Okay, so what would drawings have done to the balance? It would have reduced the balance, correct. And you're trying to find the business's profit or loss. Okay, so what do you think the business made? A profit or a loss?
Profit.
Definitely a profit. But now, how much is the profit going to be?
6,000 minus 500.
6,000 minus 500?
Yeah, because it's drawings.
You can't minus the 500 because you need to write down the equation. Okay, so the equation would be what? Opening capital. Yeah, there's enough space, you can fit it there. Opening capital. Opening capital plus profit slash loss, or just say plus profit, because we're looking at the profit, minus drawings, equals closing capital. Yeah, so do you agree, if I've got enough information, can I work out the missing figures?
Yeah.
Yes, I can. Right, so what am I working out? Profits. Can I get it? Yes. So substitute and solve. Let's see what you get as your profit. How much profit did the business make?
Okay, so
Yeah, just take those amounts that you had, substitute and solve. You're solving for P, profits. The closing wasn't 2.5, the closing was how much? Yeah, so the whole equation is opening capital, which was 3. 3 plus P minus 5, correct, minus how much?
500.
No, closing capital was? You had it there?
Equals closing capital.
No, minus closing capital. Well, yeah, equals closing capital because you'll bring it, yeah, you'll bring it back to the other side, okay, which is fine. Okay, solve for P. 3,500, correct, that's right. Okay, so 3,500 would have been the profit that this business would have made. Then they would have drawn 500 from the business and then obviously ended up with 6. Okay, so obviously we can go back and we can check the logic, and the logic is correct. Well, that's just one example. What did this example use? An equation. Alright, so sometimes when you have incomplete records, the equation is what you're going to be needing. Sometimes you'll be needing a T account. Right, so let's look at an example where we need a T account. Example number 2. Okay, so you've been given certain balances.
So for this example, so this one is calculating profit. This one can be?
Well, this one we're working out 2 things. We're working out sales and we're working out purchases. So maybe you can just, a heading, you can say finding missing values in incomplete T accounts. Okay, general ledger T accounts. That's what we're practicing here. Okay, so the question gave you bits and pieces of a T account, but they didn't complete the T account. So you'll have to complete the T account and find the missing figure. Okay, so that's what we're doing. We're using T accounts now. So you can either use formulas, that's one way of working out incomplete records, finding missing figures, or you can find missing figures using T accounts. Okay, recreating those T accounts. Right, so we're going to do 2 here. We'll do one for receivables and one for payables, just so that you have 2 different examples showing the missing amounts that you can calculate from an actual question. Okay, having been given certain balances.
Okay.
Right, so this is still part of this heading, okay, this example, but we're going to have 2. So maybe you can label the one A and the other B. Okay, so A.
Yeah.
Trade receivables opening balance equals. Right, so this is information that would have come from the question. Okay, I'm just simplifying it so you don't have to write a whole paragraph. I'm just pulling out the most important bits. Okay, so number A, trade receivables opening balance. And opening could have been like 1st Jan or 1st Feb or 1st March, depending on the year end. Right, and the opening balance is 752. That's the opening balance. Right, next point. The cash receipts journal, the CRJ, or cash receipts journal, shows receipts of 86494 from debtors. And there's one more point. Trade receivables closing balance is 918. Trade receivables closing balance 918. Yeah, closing balance 918. But the instructions would be find the total credit sales. This would be what you were trying to find. Find total credit sales. Right, so what do? We draw up a T account. We recreate the trade receivables T account. Find total credit sales. So you don't need that many lines. 4 lines is enough to do the calculation for the T account. Okay, so draw up a T account. What's the name of the T account going to be? Which T account are you going to want to draw up?
Sales.
No, not sales.
Purchases.
No, the trade receivables. Because do you have enough information about trade receivables?
Yeah, we do.
Yes, you know what the opening is, you know what the closing is. I can find the middle bits. Okay, so T accounts. 4 lines is enough. If you want to make it 5, just so you've got 1 extra line. And then we need to recreate the T accounts. Okay, so the reason why you've got a T account for an incomplete record question is because, do you agree T accounts have to balance, right? Okay, so balance brought down, balance carried down, all of that needs to balance. So can I find a missing figure? Of course I can. Yeah, the heading for this account would be the trading or the trade receivables accounts. Good. Okay, so you tell me where you want to put amounts. So what's the first amount that we've been given?
So trade receivables are people that owe us.
Yes, they're also called debtors.
Debtors, so they're on the credit side. No, asset, they're asset.
Yes, good. Yeah, debtors are assets. Right, so where would you put the first amount? What was the first amount? The opening balance.
Would be,
good. So insert balance brought down 752. Okay, what's next? Cash received, yeah.
From debtors.
Where would you put that?
So that's, yeah, it's additional.
Cash received from debtors. So what happens to the debtors account?
Increases.
Yeah, the debtors account will decrease. Why? Because you've received money from them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so
cash.
No, it wouldn't be cash, it would be bank. Well, cash would be fine if you received cash, but generally it will be bank. I mean, if it's a big amount like that, it's probably going to be a transfer. Okay, so bank would have affected the trade receivables negatively, which is what you're doing. Credit the trade receivables with the 86494. Good.
And cash receipts journal.
Yeah, that would be the folio.
Okay, cool. And then
last bit.
Trade receivables closing balance.
Okay, so what do you do with that? Skip a line, draw your railway tracks, the total columns, yeah. Skip a line, hey, make sure you leave enough space. Just leave an extra gap because you might need more space, yeah. Okay, well, that's fine. Okay, so where are you going to put the balance? No, not in there.
The closing should be.
Yes. Closing balance isn't on the credit side.
But it's this one's the big one.
No, we can't balance the account because we're missing the sales.
Okay.
Do you see?
Yeah.
Okay, so how do we record a closing balance for trade receivables? Balance brought down, balance carried down.
Yeah.
So where's the carried down going to be?
Yeah.
Yeah. There. Carried down, no, carried down on the credit side, brought down on the debit side. Because what type of account is this? It's an asset. Okay, assets have debit balances. Yeah, so balance there, carry down. Okay, whatever the amount was, 918.
Then yeah, balance brought down.
Yes, okay, because that's the balance at the end of the year. Does it make sense? Okay, good. Right, so now you've inserted everything. Now we need to apply what we're doing in this chapter, incomplete records. Okay, so what did the question ask you to find?
The sales.
Where would you expect to see the sales? In this account, yes, you would expect sales on which side? The debit side. So we would write sales there. You would write, where would the sales come from? Which journal? Purchases journal? No.
Sales journal.
Sales journal, yes.
Okay, so sales.
Good. SJ. Question mark. C, incomplete records. Right, so how are you going to get it? Do we have enough information in the T account to complete the T account?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so which side of the T account is bigger?
Oh, I don't know. We don't know how much sales is.
Yeah, sales is the missing amount, but do you agree?
The other side is bigger.
Yes, so add those two amounts together, what do you get?
But this is balance, so you add that.
Yes, you do, because it's part of the credit side, because you carry down a balance. Does that make sense?
But this is the balance already carried down, then you add that in.
Yeah, but remember, you needed the sales first in order to get the balance. Okay, so the reason why it's an incomplete record question is because you're actually redoing what was done and you're trying to find a missing figure. Okay, so if you add those two amounts together, what do you get?
87412.
87412, good. That goes where? In the total column. Okay, because do you agree, do I have any missing figures on the credit side?
Yeah.
No missing figures on the credit side. The credit side is perfect. So if I add up the credit side, I need to have the same on the debit side. Can you now find that question mark?
Yeah.
How?
742.
What do you get?
8667.
There we go. That's right. Okay, so the question mark is 86660 because you've identified what the missing figure is based on the information that was given in the question. Does that make sense? Okay, so I've done that one with you. The trade payables is exactly the same. I'm going to give you the question and then I'm going to ask you to try and do it and let's see how you do. We can check it if it's right. Okay. But you do the exact same thing. You're recreating the T account. Great, that's right. Good. And that completes example A. Okay, so with incomplete records, two things, formula or T accounts, either or. T accounts can help you if you're looking for a missing figure. Formulas can help you if you're looking for a missing figure. Either or can be used, okay? Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Alright. One more example, this one you're going to do. You can maybe write the question at the bottom if you want to, and you can do the answer on a separate page. Okay, so the question will start off by giving you a balance, opening balance. So let's use dates this time. Let's say 1 Jan.
Also trade receivables.
No, trade payables. Okay, different one. Trade payables, 1 Jan, 857.
Right?
857.
Okay.
Total payments to creditors equals. Total payments to creditors equals 43675. 43675. Okay, that's it. And then total, not total, trade payables 31st December equals 633. Trade payables 31st December 633. Right, so that's the information that you would have gotten.
December, 600?
Yeah, 633. That's the information that you would have gotten from the question. Yeah. Right, so now you've got everything. Obviously, you're finding what? The purchases. Yeah. Okay, so the instructions, if you want to write that down in black again, like how you did with the previous one,
yeah.
Find total credit purchases. That would be the instructions. Alright, so missing amount would be find an unknown. The unknown is the total credit purchases. Okay, so let's see if you can recreate a T account that identifies what the total purchases are. Okay, so that page you can keep separate, it's nice and neat. Let's work it out on a separate page. If you make a mistake, we can always do it again, but let's see. Okay, so same like you did previously, T accounts. Which T account are we going to draw?
Trade payables.
Good, trade payables. Okay, so this one I'm going to help you less and I want to see what you do. Obviously you're going to take what's in the question and create it, or recreate it rather. Okay, so the business would have had a trade payables T account like the one that you're drawing up. Obviously theirs would have been complete, but you don't have all the information. So you're having to find something that's missing. Hence incomplete records. Okay. So let's see how that goes. Okay, why did you put plus and minus there?
Because they're creditors.
Good. 100%. Okay, this is a liability, so there would be credit balances. That's important. Basics. Okay, nice. Okay, keep going. Let's see if you can find it.
Trade payables.
Good. What are you going to write? Nice, balance. Okay, so the balance that you started with, 857 on the credit side, perfect. That's already like a mark or two, depending on how they mark it. Okay.
Total payments to the bank.
Would the payments affect the bank?
It would come from the bank.
It would. So that would be the contra account. So you're right by referencing it. Okay, so that's good. So you've chosen to put the 43675, which was the total payments, on the debit side of the trade payables. Why? Yes. Why? Because your debtors, your creditors are decreasing.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. So that's correct. Leave 2 lines just so that you've got enough space, and then create the rest. Okay, you're almost there. Keep going. Okay, very good. Okay, carried down on the debit side, brought down on the credit side. Reason being?
Because
it's a liability. So the brought down balance must always be on the credit side, purely because this is a liability. Okay, now you've got one more step to do. Well, 2 more in terms of total, and then you're done. Four three 308 is correct. Good. Okay, so you've got the right total. Now what? Yeah, you just write total purchases or purchases. Either will be fine. Okay, good. Right, and that's the basic figure. So you're looking for purchases, and you've identified that as being on the credit side, which is correct because purchases increase the liability.
It's British Journal.
Yeah, PJ for the reference, and then question mark, incomplete record. Can you work out the missing figure? Let's see. Okay, so now you've recreated the T accounts. The last bit is just a quick calculation. Yeah, I get the difference. Good. Okay, so if you look at your credit side, you can see you've got a total, which is at 44308, and then obviously there's a missing figure. Those 2 amounts at the top need to add up to the bottom one. And there you go. You've done it. What did you get? 434? No.
43433.
No, something's wrong with the adding.
So we have 44308.
Yes, that's correct.
Then 44308 minus 857.
44308 minus 857 is 43451. That's what they've got in the textbook. So then the textbook must be wrong. 44308 minus, oh, okay, your amount is incorrect.
44308 minus
857. Okay.
857.
Yeah, there we go.
43451.
Yeah, 43451 is right. That's correct. Okay, that's it. Done. Well done. So let's see what else we need to look at. So we've done tier counts, we've done formulas. There is a longer question here that you can maybe look at if you want to, but it does the same thing as what we looked at. Completing. See? Have a look. What account is that? Trade receivables. What's the missing figure? The sales. You see that? Okay, so more often than not, in most cases, you're probably going to be given information that requires you to calculate things like sales, purchases, cash, that type of thing. Alright, so that covers that. Let's see if we get it here. Okay, this is a cash one. Let's do one more. You can use the same page. One more example, just looking at the cash.
And then is the chapter done?
Yes, that's the end. Okay, 23 starts on the next page. Okay. So where was that? Yeah, there. Just put one more example underneath that one. Okay. It's not long, it's short. Okay, this is looking at finding missing cash. Okay, so A owns a general store. 1st January, cash on hand, 167. Finding cash, missing cash, finding missing cash. Okay, so the first bit of information, I'm just summarizing what they've given you in the paragraph. The first thing they tell you is 1st January, cash on hand, 167.
Okay, sorry, so what did you say first?
Yeah, 1st January, cash on hand, 167. $167. 31st December, cash on hand, 143.
Four?
143.
143.
Yes. Okay, then they say her till rolls showed her takings to be 53788. So do you agree that till refers to what? Her sales. Okay, so we can write down cash sales 53,788. 53788. Okay, so that would have been her cash sales. Right, then they say during the year she banked 21,894. So she banks or deposits. Okay, a better word for banks would be deposits. Okay, banked or deposits 21,894. 21894. 21894. Good. After taking, so she also took 13,600 for private use. We know that's called drawings. You can just say cash or drawings, brackets cash, 13,600. That's what she took for herself. Right, and then the last bit is she paid wages cash, 17,840. Right, paid wages cash. Yeah, wages cash 17 17840. 17840. Perfect. Right, your job. Adele, A believes that some cash has been stolen, but she's not sure. Right, so looking at what we've got, is it possible to find the missing cash? Yes. Okay, we've got enough information in order to do that. Right, so if you want to, you can use a formula, or you can use a T account. Either or is fine. I personally feel T accounts work better because you can just think of debits and credits, and you should be quite good with that. Okay, so what are we going to do?
Find missing/stolen cash.
Yes. Adele believes that some cash has been stolen. Calculate the missing cash. Find the missing cash. Right, so whatever's missing is what was stolen. Okay, makes sense. Alright, you are going to need a T account for this. There's not enough space to be on that page, so you will need one more page to do it. Okay, there's a few lines that you need to put up. So let's do it on a separate page, and then that wraps up that. Okay, so basically you can do this for any T account. As long as you just identify what's given in the question and recreate the correct T account in terms of journals or ledger. Okay. Right, so let's see how this goes. Take the information, recreate a T account. What will the heading for the T account be called?
Cash.
Correct. Okay, so we're looking at a cash account. The cash account will be what? An asset, liability, income, expense, capital, drawings. Good. Okay, so now we know where the debits and credits are. That's always important. Start with the basics. Correct. Cash is the name. Where's the plus?
Cash is the receipt.
Yeah, so plus there, minus there. Good. Right, so now let's take that information and let's recreate.
Okay, so the balance.
Yeah, what are you going to do with that? Good. Balance on the debit side. The 167. Perfect. Next. What else happened?
Cash on hand.
That's the closing.
That's the closing.
Yeah, leave quite a few lines because how many lines? 2, 4, 6. Leave 6 lines and then do your totals.
I'll come back to do that.
Okay, that's fine. It's up to you. As long as you don't forget it. Yeah. So if you are going to come back, then just highlight it and then make a note for yourself that you're going to come back to it later.
Okay.
Okay. Because as long as you cover all, you'll get the same answer.
Cash sales will go down.
Good. Nice.
Sales.
Yes, it would.
Cash receipts journal.
Yes, the CBR or the CRJ either or, and the lines. Good.
Okay, so got that. And deposited, so this would be minus.
Yes. And where would the cash have gone?
To the bank.
Yes. See, you would have credited the cash and debited the bank. See, there's a contra accounts.
Bank, general journal. Which?
Yeah, general journal is fine. You can use that because it's a transfer of cash. 21894. Good. What else?
Okay, so got that. Drawings.
Good. Okay, debit drawings, credit cash. Does that make sense? Right, cash is going down because you're taking
CPJ.
General journal. Oh, yeah, CPJ is fine because you're paying the owner. That's also fine. Yeah, that's good. It's actually better that you use CPJ. Okay, 13,600. Good.
And wages also minus.
Yeah, debit wages, credit cash. What else? Almost there.
No, it's just cash on hand.
Yes.
So we are closing out.
Correct. See, this is not too bad, eh?
Right.
Yeah, it's just practicing basics and it's finding a missing figure when you already have the balances.
So cash is the asset or the balance brought down?
Brought down below.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying brought down.
Brought down on the side, yes, yes. Okay.
Okay, downwards.
Okay, then it's just a little bit of adding and subtracting, and then you got it. Hopefully you get the same answer. Let's check.
Okay, so now which side's bigger? This one. 2, 1, 4 plus 9, 6, 8 plus 17, 15 plus 1, 5, 3, 4, 7, 7.
Okay, so make a note of that. Just write that in pencil. So you know that side is how much? 5, 3, 4, 7, 7. Good. Okay, and then check the other side. And you've already got the answer actually by doing that. That's actually good. Which side's bigger? 5, 3, 9, 5, 5. Good, that's the right answer. Okay, so you've identified the debit side as being the bigger side with a total of 53955. So do we have stolen cash?
Yeah.
Yes. Where would the stolen cash have gone?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, stolen cash would have reduced the cash, obviously. Okay, that you can highlight. That's what you're looking for. That's the missing cash. Right, so now, yes, because you need to solve for how much was actually stolen. Okay, but that's just a quick minus. You've already got the total at the top. Okay, so one total minus the other total. Okay, here you go. Easy, hey?
Mm-hmm.
So that covers that chapter. Now, so if you're trying to find stolen cash, we take the total and we subtract all those credits. You already know that all your credits add up to that total that you have at the top. So that can help you. It'll be quicker to calculate. Yeah, maybe just put an asterisk there. The 53477 is all the credits, just so you know what that is, because you might wonder where that total came from. What did you get? 487. 487. It should be 478. Oh, you didn't get it right though.
Yeah.
Okay, just wrote it down wrong. Right, and that's it. That's how you do incomplete records. It's a nice section because it tests basics. The better your basics, the easier this is. And that's why you didn't really struggle with this, because your basics are good. Okay, you know what to debit, you know what to credit, so it's quite easy to calculate.